Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today another kit that has been long awaited for at least 18 months I think. The new Revell, a company I don't always have a very good relationship with. Some of you may say that's like that with a few of them, but we shall see, because we've obviously had a lot of changes going on at Revell, which we are told are for the better. I'm told they've changed the box, which I think they have, as a design. This kit, of course, has got a lot of input from the designer, the sort of design stroke researcher. He's now product manager, isn't he? Luke Slaney-Hewitt. He's moved over from the other team, the British team, shall we say, without going into too many details. And he's had a lot of input into this, and he's been proudly showing it off at the last two Telfords. So let's take a look at it, see what we've got, because it is much anticipated. It'll be very interesting to see. I've not seen a new Revell kit, a new tool, for quite some time, so it's going to be very interesting. So, what have we got? It's kit number 03779, and it's the Meteor, Gloucester Meteor F8 stroke FR.9. And it says it comes with some extras. It's the first edition. Looks like it's got a mask set. It's got some photo etch, I think, by the look of it. It's got, has it got a poster? And it's got a reference book as well, all in the box, so that's quite impressive. Now, this kit isn't mine. This has been loaned to the channel. This comes straight from the supplier to my hot, sticky hands, hence the gloves. Not really sticky, but anyway. But this has been loaned to us by Neil from Creative Time Wasting, and you can check out his YouTube channel. I'll send you a link below. But very kind of him to let me see it first, so must be respectful, not say anything bad. But you know that's not the way I do things. Let's have a look on the side then. So, what have we got here? It's got a load of 3D rendering photographs, which I'm not very excited about. It says you need to, there's no paints and glues included. But it says complex model kits for experienced models, level 5. So it's not for the beginner, this one. It's really heavy though, honestly. This is a really heavy kit actually. I reckon that's a kilo, easy, and the rest probably 1.2 kilos, something like that. And it says on the side, the Gloucester Meteor is one of the first jet aircraft to enter service, seeing service in the closing days of World War II. The F.8 variant became mainstay of the RAF Fighter Command in the early 1950s, before being superseded by the Hawker Hunter in frontline service. The Meteor would soldier on in a number of different roles, and only being retired in 1970. Or 70s it says, so after 70. Early and late intake and canopy parts are included. 2 full engines including stands are included. Exposed gun bay and engine build options. Build with flaps and air brakes deployed or closed. There's a pilot figure. They're ticking all the boxes, aren't they? All the boxes. 5 decal schemes including RAF, Royal Australian Air Force and RBAF. Royal Belgium? Don't know. First edition also includes an A3 poster, canopy mast, reference book and photo etch parts. So there you go. Quite a lot by the sound of it. That's why it's so heavy. So I'll have to be gentle with it. So we've got this new type of box. It's got 405 parts. It doesn't sound too part heavy. I forgot to show you the back, which has got some very interesting stuff on it. Let's just zoom in on this for a moment before I get cracking. Let's have a look, see. Yeah, that looks really nice, doesn't it? You've got your all silver scheme there, then you've got 5 different options over this side. I'll zoom you in a bit more, there we go. So we've got Biggin Hill, 41 Squadron in 1952, Kai Tak in Hong Kong, Operation Musketeer in 1956. Korean War 1953, Belgian Air Force, it was B for Belgium, yeah, 62, and RAF Horsham St Faith in 1951. Okay, it looks good, and they've actually got a finished picture of a finished model there, which is always good instead of a, you know, sort of computer aided 3D rendering or whatever. So let's have a look. Now I have heard already from someone who's told me that the new box is a tiny bit flimsy, so I'm going to be a bit gentler as I go about this. I have got a nice sharp blade, he says. Is it sharp enough? It's very thick, this Revell tape is, which is a good thing. I'm not really complaining. I'm going to be very gentle with it now. Don't want to go mad. There we go. I'm slashing at it like it's Friday the 13th movie, you know. Let's have a look. Okay, well, I much prefer the design. It's not the thickest of boxes, perhaps I could do with a bit more. It is flopping a bit, can you see that? It's flopping a bit already, that tells you it's not terribly thick cardboard. There's lots of plastic, and there's the poster, and the book, Duke Hawkins, that's nice, that's one reason it's so heavy. And then we've got our decals and instructions, which I have to say reminds me of Airfix recent big kit. It's all loose at the bottom. Why can't they put it in a bag? We've said this before, haven't we? Like others do, like Tamiya and Great Wall Hobby, Katara. I mean, you've got everything's just loose. That's not good, actually. That all needs putting in a bag. But anyway, let's put that over there. Let's see what we got. So we've got our nice artwork. Oh yes, it's done like Hawker Siddeley Group, Gloucester Aircraft. Member of the Hawker Siddeley Group. There you go. I don't want to sort of unfurl it too much and spoil it, but quite nice, isn't it? It's very retro, very of its time. Quite a nice one to have framed, perhaps that. So I'll put that back very carefully for Neil. Yes, very nice. Quite like that. Something a bit different. Oops. Okay. So let's have a look at what we've got then. As I say, I'm not always the biggest fan of Revell, mainly because they're often a bit, the build experience can be a bit naff. Well, we've got a set of die-cut masks. Let's have a look at these. Early version, late version, inside, late version, outside. Okay, so you've got inside and outside masks, which is nice. Outside, inside. Okay, that's really cool. Don't know what they perform like because I've got no experience of theirs at all. Unlike the recent Airfix ones, which did have a bit of a play with, so bear that in mind. What have we got here? What earth is that? Oh, you see, I see. Again, they've got your photo etch is completely loose. It's just on this piece of paper. That's a bit weird. What's that about? Just a bit of paper over it. Okay, so you've got a photo etch set, which does look nice actually. It's an Edward set, so I don't know if I could presume Edward are also doing the. This is an aftermarket item as well. You can see we've got the Revell logo. I'm going to have to move that plastic, aren't I? It's not helping us. So you can see we've got the Revell logo at the top right, and then you've got instruments. You've got the sort of front ferrules around those dials, and then you've got a selection of a bit closer. Selection of all the other bits. Some quite tiny parts again, which I'm not very keen on, but they do look nice, and the printing looks decent, doesn't it? Nice colours. Some nice blue there for the belts. That looks pretty good actually. That's nice. One of these new generation Edward sets, which are always seem to be improving at the moment. So I've been a bit grumpy about them in the past, but they do seem to be getting a lot better, in fairness. Okay, I don't like the idea of everything being loose though. I'm going to show you these the decals. And they are they Cartograph? No, Carrera Revell Europe. Okay, it's their own. They look nice. They do look good. There's a lot of stencils, oh my lord. Oh god, how many are there? 169? 170, 172 stencils. Oh, that's a lot. Is that stencils or in total? I think that's total actually. No, it's not. That's stencils. 172. But they look very nice. They're very bright, sharp, crisply printed. No excess carrier film on them. Hope they're not Edward. They don't look like the Edward ones, the new generation ones. You can always tell if they have this big overlap of the front film on them. And then we've got, we've got the different markings of the RAF there. Hailstorm. What's that? Tasmania. Royal Australian Air Force. That's Tasmania, isn't it? I think. Hailstorm. I think that's the Tasmanian sort of flag almost, not flag, but it's like a map of Tasmania, isn't it? A Tasmanian devil. Very nice. They're a really nice set of decals there. In fairness, I can't see any problems there at all. So that's good. I don't think the decals have ever been a problem in the Revell kits I've had. That's one of the stronger points, I think. Like everything being loose at the bottom now, it's really bad. Right, look, the Duke Hawkins book, which I'm not going to go all through now because there's a lot in there. Obviously, it's going to have a lot of quality references, which are very, very helpful. It's nice to include that with this edition. Fantastic photo reference point for you, which you really do need when you're doing a kit like that. And then, yeah, especially in the interior, they look quite old, don't they? Well, they are. You know, these aircraft are 70 years old, some of them. But things like the ejector seats gives you good references for colours and things like that. Very nice book. Duke Hawkins makes some lovely books, let's face it. I've got several of theirs. So yes, a very nice edition. Not sure it's best having such a heavy book flying around when you've got loose decals and photo etch and instructions though. That I'm not so sure about. I might just put them in a bag for the return trip to Neil. I think I might bag those because I don't like the idea of that. All it takes is one clumsy, you know, postman or somebody at the depot and we're in trouble. Right, okay, let's have a look at what we've got then. So we've got clear parts over there. You know, I might start with the clear parts actually, and then I think we'll move on to the big stuff. But of course, at the beginning we must have, it's very odd that they've done that. The latest type of instructions from Revell are actually quite good. I find them fairly easy to follow. They've got a bit like Airfix, not quite as good as their latest generation perhaps, but they've started following a better path, I think, in terms of clarity. Oh, and like Airfix, we seem to have got a slight rip. It's not as bad as Airfix's, but it's similar. This is the same issue, isn't it? We've got a rip here where the staples are, because one of the main reasons is because it's flying around loose in the box. Why don't these manufacturers understand that? That's not appropriate. They need to be held together where they're not going to get bashed and move about, and that's what's happened here. And that's a bit like the Airfix ME109 again, isn't it? Anyway, we'll skip past all the sprue maps and things. We don't need that. So, let's have a look. Now, I'm not an expert on Meteors. That's one of the aircraft I'm not that knowledgeable about, if I'm really honest. Anyway, you start off with what looks like your the recess for the nose gear bay, and then you're going to build your cockpit up above that, putting in your photo etch, and it gives you the option, I think, of having decals if you wish to use the decals instead. So I think you've got the usual thing. You've got the plastic, bit like an Edward. You've got the plastic option with decals, or you can use the Edward photo etch set we just saw. So you're popping that in there. Then you've got the sort of side plates of the cockpit coming in here, with all your various bits of oxygen mask trunking, and it looks like is the ejector seat actually in there already? It seems to be a very completed looking tub that goes in. And then behind we have got, see, there's no descriptions here. This is where it's inferior to Airfix. Airfix on that 109 are giving you brilliant descriptions of everything, and that's not present here. So it's a bit like ICM. We've got to sort of guess as we go along, really. At least they're telling us things like colours, which does help. Yeah, so it's not as bad as Border. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, you've got all the parts behind the pilot's seat going in here. No description about what they are, which is really quite annoying actually. And then I think we've got the actual ejector seat itself. It is built up, so it's just the back plate you see in there behind the ejector seat. Then we're going to build our ejector seat up itself, which looks very detailed. In fairness, looks very detailed over here. Quite a few colours going on there. There's a big lever. I don't know if that's the actual pull handle. It isn't, is it? Because it's the traditional over the head pull down system with the double loops. Then we've got our pilot, which is very welcome indeed, which is something that Airfix have not been doing on their bigger scale kits. And you've got to paint up your belts and things and put those in here. Are the belts photo etched? They were, weren't they? So again, I've got a feeling there might be plastic and or photo etch as an option. We'll see in a second. And then we've got the pilot coming in here. I think a few words. I know that they're obviously a German manufacturer, but maybe German and English they could have put in, you know, just one translation and put some descriptive stuff in. Anyway, then you drop your ejector seat in there into the tub, cockpit tub, and then we're building up the area, sort of the bulkheads behind and the other side of the front cockpit, fuselage side coming in. You need a 50 kilogram weight in your nose here, which is quite useful to know. And then we have got oxygen bottles coming in. It looks like it's the guns. What guns were they? Were the Aiden guns on this? I can't remember. Again, we're not told, are we? We're not told. It doesn't give any real detail about history either, so that yeah, they're not doing as well as Airfix or, you know, the Qataris or the Tamiyas of this world, or even something like IBG there. I think they could have made a bit more effort on the history. Just a little brief description on the side of the box, and that's your lot, I'm afraid. Anyway, we've got the guns coming in on both sides, of course, and were they a 50 cal? I don't know what they were. That is annoying because they should tell you. Anyway, they go on either side. Then you've got your outer actual, the fuselage skinner, so to speak, going on either side, the nose area, cockpit area. And then you've got your gun sight coming in here. And you've got a couple of vents. I think it's high pressure vents, probably a vent for the cockpit, air conditioning, etc. And then we have got a couple of holes you've got to take out here. You've got a little central section here to avoid a seam, although you're probably going to get a seam down the rest of it, so I don't know what that'll be like. Then we have got the engine. So trying to work from memory, what was the Whittle engine, wasn't it, on these? Just trying to remember which one. What was it called? Does it say that? This is what it should tell us on the box or inside. Where does it tell us? No mention of the engine. First jet fighter. That's all it says. But they haven't really pushed the boat out in terms of effort to give you history, have they? To be honest, I'm a bit disappointed in that, actually. So I don't see. They may have a breakthrough with Luke and his design and research, but they're not breaking through and communicating that research to the customer, are they? The model maker. Anyway, building up our jet engine here, the Whittle early Whittle engine. It's not the Avon, is it now? So before then, is it the Spey? You'll forgive my lack of knowledge, but really, I shouldn't be needing to remember. They should be telling us. It should all be included in the box. I'm sorry. Anyway, building that up then, and then obviously you're going to do this twice because there's two of them. Doing the other side, some subtle differences on things like colours and things. Depending on which version you get your sort of obviously they don't have afterburners at this stage of jet engine development. And then you're going to build up your little dolly, which you can actually mount it on, which is nice. That I do like. And then you've got your sort of spar, which has the mounting for the jet nozzles on the back. Yeah, we've got several spars in fairness to create the sort of main strength of the centre of the aircraft, which is pretty good. Quite like that. A few more holes to drill. You've got option here for having your flaps open or closed, and then you've got your actual jet going into its jet pipe, attaching to the final jet pipe and being placed in the nacelles on the wing. And you're going to do that twice. Quite detailed. There's quite a lot of parts here for it, isn't there? Should build up into quite a solid sort of model with all these spars and things. And then you got your final. You got your open entry pipe. I mean, the engine itself is quite small in these aircraft. It's not long at all. It's only about a quarter of the length of the nacelle that it sits in. And then you're going to mount those on. You've got some final cowlings to go on the top here. A little bit of plumbing that's going to go in there as well, and then finally you're going to mount that inverted. I think you mount it inverted, even though it doesn't make that entirely clear. You have to turn it upside down, and then you're going to get on with building your main gear legs, putting your wheels and tyres in, and your doors, and obviously you're going to have to do this on both sides. You've got a couple of clear parts there for the light covers. You've got to build your nose, which has got, is that the nose or is that the back end? Sorry. Dum, 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 dum. Is that the nose? Sorry, I'm a little bit confused here. Again, it's not descriptive anywhere. I'm not told anything about it, you know? I don't understand now. We're in 2025. Look at the way Airfix have stepped forward with their instructions, following the likes of Qatari and people like that, Zukimura, obviously Tamiya. Revell haven't. They're not communicating. All they're doing is giving you the colour guide, you know, for different versions having different parts. Fair enough, but, you know, can't they give us some descriptive information so we know what we're looking at here? I think that's the nose, isn't it, we're looking at? Totally clear. Yeah, it was. Okay. Building up your main nose gear. It's a tricycle undercarriage on this aircraft, of course. One of the first. And that goes in, looks quite a detailed undercarriage setup actually. Looks nice. So that's got to go in there, plus your nose goes on. Then you've got the doors which have to be fitted. And then you introduce this nose section to the rest of the aircraft. Hope it's a good join. You've got your windscreen coming on here, and then your canopy, of course, sliding canopy, and then you've got the options there of, what are the options? Two different versions, two subtleties around open or closed. Oh, okay. Again, they're not super clear in what they're communicating. Yeah, for other squadrons they've got different parts, it looks like. Oh, okay. Then you've got your tail coming in with your rudders going on and your horizontal stabilisers and your elevators. So it's a T-tail, isn't it? You know, a bit like the sort of later Buccaneer style, almost. That's going on there, and you've got the wingtips. No, it's the elevators, isn't it? And then bringing again, the tail is a separate section again, so that has to be brought onto the main fuselage as well. And then finally you've got some little lights on the top going in. Is that light? I think so. No, not descriptive. You've got some rockets, underwing rockets as an option, that's nice. Underwing tanks is the other option. You've got your spoilers, I think I'm right, or are they the flaps? Because again, it's not telling you which way up this is. I think that's the top. So those are spoilers on the top. It's got spoilers on the top, I think, and flaps underneath. So it's actually got kind of two air brake systems, really. And then you've got your ailerons going in here. Open flap or closed flap option. You've got a pitot going on the end of the wing. There's an central ventral tank that you can have, additional fuel tank. Doesn't say how much fuel it carries, doesn't say anything. Kind of annoying me. And then we've got, that's it, you built it. And then you got your, your many stencils. There's a lot of stencils. And then your colour call-outs, which is fair enough, that's well done. No problem with that. And then some of these look really nice. That Suez Crisis one looks fantastic, doesn't it, on the left? Yeah, and underneath as well. I like that one. Belgian one's also quite attractive. So some good schemes here, good options. And then just a guide. You see, that's... So they've got some English here. This is really well done. Your guide for your mask. So why couldn't they do that inside and talk about the parts of the aircraft? And then it talks about where to put your photo etch as a separate instruction. Well, that's a bit confusing. Okay, you know. Well, I don't know if does it tell you to go off and do that separately earlier on, because it's now almost like a completely separate set of instructions for the photo etch parts, like your seat belts. It'd be very easy for someone who's not that, that experienced. It may be skillful, but very easy to get misled by those instructions, to be honest. I don't think it's Revell's best work in terms of instructions. There's nothing wrong with the diagrams, don't get me wrong, but, I think they could have done a lot more. So here, they're almost telling you here, there's no mention about whether you want to go for photo etch. There's no words, nothing to guide you. It's just separate at the end, at the back. It's a bit baffling, that, and that is not the clearest. Not the clearest. So, it looks like a nice kit, but go to the back of the class with your instructions. They're not great, those. 2025, look at what Airfix achieved with that one. I know I moaned about the plastic parts, but I had reason to. I did not complain. Look at the loving I had for 50 minutes talking about those instructions. They were fantastic. They're just the same old thing, you know. Right, let's have a look at the plastic. Perhaps they can redeem themselves. I think they probably will. But, you know, I think it's the easiest thing, you know. It's not technically hard or massively expensive to get someone to do a bit of translation for you and add that in the instructions. Alright, we'll move this out of the way and we'll have a proper look at this. But to say, I do like this very dark, extra dark sea grey plastic. I always want Revell to be better than they are. Airfix managed, I know there was a quality issue. If I had not had that quality issue on my example of that 109, it would have been my kit of the year this year, and I would have been just thinking they were on a new level. And because they've raised their game, unfortunately they did let the side down, didn't they? In the simplest, stupidest thing of lot. But all the hard stuff that's difficult requires effort and planning and passion. They did all that so beautifully, and Revell aren't doing that, are they? This is why I get cross. They're not making the effort or putting in any passion. I'm sure that people like Luke will help. I'm sure he will. Well, I've got to tell you that I'm moaning and ranting. The plastic does look nice now. Have a look at this. By the way, my light is fading away, so it may not be quite as bright as usual. Here we've got what is obviously the lower wing, and I've got to say the plastic looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at the detail here. Can you see that? It's very nicely done with the panel lining. Superb riveting. That's really nice plastic. Now I'm wondering if this is made in Poland. Do we know where it's made? Does it say? It is made in Poland. I was right. Okay, that's a good guess. I must say that the Polish products for Revell have been really nice. They've really come out looking really very well indeed. And you just don't get some of the nasty quality that we've seen from elsewhere, including Revell's other sites. I'm pretty sure that horrible Hornet they produced, pretty sure that was not made in Poland. But let's just pop that back in there for a second. I love that this sprue is a big sprue. There's no warpage. It's warp free, look at that. And it's strong as well. It feels like a really good, super quality plastic. A very, very refined bit of moulding. It's big, isn't it? Look how chunky it looks. Wow. Yeah, look at those, the jet nozzles. Oh my lord. So there's two different variants, that's why we've got 8. Obviously one's the F8, one's the FR.9. I think they've done this beautifully. Look at this plastic moulding. So the scoring on the moulding where they've failed on the instructions really. That is very, very nice. I mean this is Qatari good actually, if I'm being honest. It's got such fine riveting. That's superb. Yes, it does look like they showed us what they showed us at Telford last year when they had some test shots. That's nice. It's flawless, that. Flawless. And then over here we've got some of the, this is the sort of, the guide spar for the engines. And, yeah. Interesting. Again, you've got some beautiful sort of recessed rivets that are recessed right within the actual structure here, which is quite nicely done. Look at this slide mould of that. You can see it here as well. See it? That's nice, isn't it? See the fine riveting down in the recess here. Down in the recesses. And I've got to say that the ejector pin marks, obviously you always get ejector pin marks, it's when they put them in the wrong places that we get upset. But they're actually quite fine. Yeah, that's really nice. That plastic is gorgeous, to be honest. So it's ironic, isn't it? Here we go again. Where Airfix failed, this is scoring, and where Airfix scored many goals, they have scored none. At Revell, it's kind of the opposite, isn't it? Oh boy. It makes it. I suppose it makes life interesting, doesn't it? If everything was the same, it'd be very boring, wouldn't it? This plastic quality is very beefy feeling and very, you know, it feels very premium. It's not. I can't imagine a lot of bits off the sprue on this snow. The contact points look quite well bonded, if you know what I mean. So let's put that one there. Let's have a look at the clear parts. Oh, that's just fallen out. Let's have a look at the clear parts. Now, on that Airfix 109, they were absolutely lovely. That was the one bit of plastic that I went gaga about. Be careful. They've gone a bit overzealous with their tape. At least they have got reasonably sensible bags though. Too much tape here. Really well taped down, that is. Gosh. Super strong tape. Right, let's have a look then. Well, there's a few scuffs on it. The actual quality of the plastic, it's tricky, isn't it? It's a teardrop canopy on there. Yes, I've got to be honest, it's not up to the Airfix standard that we saw on the 109. There's quite a lot. There is a lot of distortion in this. This is not its strongest point, I don't think. I suspect this is going to be the weak point of it. Looks okay on the windscreen, but I don't know if you can make this out, but the actual the teardrop, so to speak, there's a lot of distortion here, and they've got these scuff marks. Can you see that? Here and here. Is it outside or inside? I think it's on the outside. It's almost like they've been scuffed before they've gone into the bag, to me. Rather than in transit, I mean. Because the bag should protect that. They shouldn't really give them an issue. It's not... there is a lot of distortion. I've got to be honest. I think that's not as good as others we've seen. It's not as good as Airfix. It's not as good as Qatari. It's not as good as ICM. It's a little bit old school. It looks alright here on the windscreens. They look nice. It's just on the... It reminds me of that Mini Art Thunderbolt when I was a little bit critical of their clear parts last year. 2024. Same problem. They were really getting a lot of distortion elements in it. But it's very scale-like. You know, I don't think it's too thick or anything like that. Perhaps you just polish it up. It will look better. Get rid of those marks. It's a bit disappointing though. So that's another quarter of a point off, I think. But the distortion is major. Actually, it's. If I was to be brutally honest, you know, you sort of talk about clear parts, and obviously as I say, I grumbled about plastic elements within the Airfix kit 109, but I thought that the clear parts, probably the best I'd seen this year. These are nowhere near that, I've got to be honest. They don't say 2025 to me in the way that grey plastic that we just looked at does. So that's a little bit disappointing. Let's move on. I've got a hunch that the rest is going to be fine. It goes this really sticky tape, doesn't it? What else have we got? Let's see, and yes, this does look really nice. And we have got all the parts for the engine here, for the Whittle engine. I say Whittle, it's a Rolls-Royce engine, isn't it, basically? Perhaps I should have done more research. Several of you be shouting at the screen saying, "You fool, you should know this." But they've done this really nicely. This is exactly what I just suggested. The grey parts are beautiful. The moulding here is gorgeous. Look at this. That's nice. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, that's really nice. And then we've got the drop tanks, and I think that's the back end of the engine, internal parts of the engine. You've got your wheel here, wheels, weight on wheels. Not sure that's the best I've ever seen. Those weight on wheels, they don't look very flat, strangely. They don't look flat enough, if you know what I mean. Can you see that? They've still got a slight curvature to them where they're supposed to be bulged out, which is not you know, not hugely, but it is. My eye catches that. It's not entirely flat, so that's a bit odd. Then we've got some beautiful looking rockets here. underwing rockets. These are very like the ones, well, the same ones that the Typhoons used to carry, aren't they? Yeah, those are nice. And then we've got our wheel centre spokes of the wheels. Yeah, I just wonder about the weight on wheels. Slightly odd design there. It's almost like they've taken somebody's model who hasn't quite shuffled it off square enough as a basis for the design. I'm sure you can quickly cure that with a sanding stick. No problem. I won't knock it a point off for that. Just slightly odd. That's all. I shan't punish it. Right, now then. We've got all the tail parts now. That's very good. I wasn't expecting to have this actually, so I'm very grateful to Neil for being good enough to loan it to us. It's a bit of a bonus one. This wasn't sort of in my schedule, to be honest. He sort of offered it me quite last minute, which was very nice of him. Now look at this. Now, is that oil canning or is that sink marks? It's oil canning. It's deliberate. Don't worry. Check this out. So we've got the front of the sides of the cockpit where you've got the cannons. This is what I was just saying about the oil canning here. Can you see it? Make it out there. I think it's deliberate. It's the heat effect, isn't it? Behind where the guns fire. That's beautiful, though. I mean, this oh, that's a bit strange. They've got some of the usual. See that there? Some of the usual Revell, slightly odd starbursting in their plastic. Saw that on another kit recently. What was it? Can't think. Was it Hasegawa? Was it Hobby 2000? It's not a problem, don't worry. But the subtlety of the riveting detail and all the panel lining here is really nicely done. It's very scale-like, isn't it? Now that's flawless, I think. Look at these. Look at that. That's fantastic. And over here, got some Tweety birds outside, haven't I? So what's going on out there? Then we've got the nose over here. There we are. And that's where the gun exits are, the gun muzzle exits here on the nose. And then here you've got those, yeah, there must have been slide molded, I think, to get the effect of these. These are the vents underneath I mentioned that you can see in the artwork. There's a big one and a small one. I said it was the cockpit, but I'm being silly. I've just realised it's the gun vents. It's the heat and the exhaust of the guns, letting out all the smoke and the cordite, isn't it? It may, in fact, eject the. Does it eject the shells as well? It may do. Maybe shell ejection as well. Certainly coming from the guns. And then over here, this is where we're getting into the. These are big sprues, by the way, quite hard to handle. So here we've got all the detail for the ejector seat, for example, with the ejector pulls there, and we've got the pilot who looks really, really good. Very nice pilot indeed. Yeah, can we see him? Oh, he's got a hollowback, like a hollowback girl. And we've got him. We've got two different offers on the pilot. One with a full sort of helmet style. Sorry, I've got a bit lost here. Go down a bit. Down a bit. There we go. One's got full helmet style, and the other one's got more like a World War II, sort of like a leather helmet style. There. That's intriguing, isn't it? So obviously that's a late war one. That'll be the F.8. I'm thinking the full helmet's the FR.9. And then here we've got these internals for the walls of the cockpit. Over here as well. And, okay, it's a bit strange. So we've got moulded in seat belts here. Now that's a bit odd when they're offering them separately, but of course you've got two options, haven't you? I think one option is for one version. Maybe the other one, which is this seat here, is the one where you build it up with your photo etch parts. And then we've got various components, including the instrumentation. This is the one where you use the decals on it, obviously. You'll probably have to smooth that off if you're going to put the photo etch in there. Oxygen bottles, various parts down here, smaller components. No flash. Superb quality from this Polish factory, I've got to say. It looks like, you know, Tamiya standards, the actual moulding. It's really clean and really, it's got that finesse about it, you know, that Revell not really known for historically. So yeah, this Polish operation is doing them proud, I'd say. Yeah. So so far so good. It really does seem that the grey plastic is a bit of a triumph. I'd be very surprised if that changes. It's obviously been moulded in the same place. And then we've got then we've got the various doors. So we've got our gear doors here, and again we've got this beautiful, consistent, more of the same, the very fine riveting surface detail, panel lining, very beautifully done. Now that does scream 2025 to me in the way the clear parts definitely did not. So I think we just need to look at the clear parts. Look at this. This is the nose sides where you've got the exit, the muzzle exits for the guns. That's really nicely moulded. Beautiful. That's the best Revell moulding I've ever seen, I think. And then we've got this slightly strange starburst effect in the plastic again. So it's not the surface, it's in the plastic itself. Don't worry about it, it's not going to cause you any issue at all. Then we have got lots and lots of parts, including all of our, here we go, all of our undercarriage parts, and the gear looks beautifully moulded. Look at that, all the pivots and the sort of the axles, pivot points, and they've got these little mud guards, haven't they? And there's the front nose gear one. Beautiful. And you've got your wheel, well, I think it's the wheel well, isn't it? Then you've got your nose wheel, sorry, tyres I should say, and then the wheels just underneath. And quite a few of the actuator parts then below. And then you've got some of these cooling and fuel lines and things that go on top of the engine, which are shown very clearly. It's beautiful moulding this. Just I say beautiful moulding, those are not words I'm used to saying when I'm doing a Revell review, to be quite honest. Because they really have been poor in the past. And when you look at this, it's like a different species created this than what we are used to from them. So they're hitting the marks, aren't they? I think they've got those clear parts a bit better. A little bit disappointing with this. And then we've got the flaps here, and then we've got our ailerons and elevators, and then we've got that ventral tank, big fat ventral tank underneath. So I'm thinking is about, I don't know, 300 gallons, is it? It looks a lot. Some beautiful detail again in these recesses and the riveting that they've got into conduits and things. These are really special, aren't they? It's kind of subtle, but it's a bit like, reminds me of the Tamiya F.8. This does. Obviously there's not as much of it as you see in the F.8, but it's the same effect. Yep, it's really, really nice. So it's really, it looks very buildable, doesn't it? It makes you think, if you tackle those clear parts with some nice polish and get them cleaned up or dip them or whatever to make them look a bit better, just a bit of distortion there. I'm not expecting that, you know. I know you can argue that Airfix with the 109 is perhaps a less tricky canopy to mould, which is true. But they did excel, didn't they, with that, in fairness. That was the one part of my original kit that was absolutely flawless. The one plastic part, I mean. So those who said I was unfair to Airfix, sorry, but you're wrong. I wasn't unfair to anybody. I just told you what was in my box. And as many as have said, you can only judge what's sent to you. Sent me a good kit, it would have been 9.75 out of 10, I think. I'm sure this can get 9.75 out of 10. Not with those instructions, which are a bit here and there and all over the place, really. Oh, well, this is a repeat, isn't it? I've seen this one before, so this is actually... Is it a complete duplicate? It is actually... Oh, that's disappointing. A duplicate bag of the same ones we've already seen. So that's it, folks. Okay, so... well, I've got to be fair. I've got to say the plastic moulding is absolutely... The grey plastic moulding is just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. The best I've ever seen from Revell. I am not... Oops. One second. This box is floppy and that's looking. This is why I'm definitely going to have to do something for Neil. Can't be sending that out with this heavy book and all this unprotected stuff flying around. I'm a bit surprised that they haven't learned, you know, to do it with Airfix as well. It's the same problem, really. Think about your final packaging. It's where they save a few pence, isn't it? And actually it can have a big impact on the actual... the first impressions and presentation, you know. I've got to say the quality of the plastic is superb. So that is excellent and very good news indeed. And we have got that back on in. So, yeah, I think as a package, what was this coming out at, folks? Was it 100 and... Do you know, I've forgotten. That's the one thing I didn't check, the price. I might have to just have a quick look just before I close off and make my final judgment. I think it's a great package though, with this book and the poster and all that kind of thing. Just bear with me one moment and I will tell you what the situation is with the prices. So 037. Oops. 779. Go on. How much is it going for? How much is it selling for? Bum, bum, bum. I'll give you an average price, not necessarily the cheapest. So it's got a retail price of 110 quid, it says here, and it's selling for anywhere between 95 and 100 pounds. I mean, with that book, that's very good value actually, in fairness. I don't think I should be grumpy about that. That's really quite a decent offering, you know. Yeah, so about the £95, possibly in some suppliers. Let's call it £100 with the average supplier, including your post and packing. 100 quid then, we'll call it. So it's about the same price as the Airfix 109, and they're not direct competitors, of course. The two kits are different scales, and you know, it's a different kettle of fish, obviously. I do feel those instructions let it down. I think there's nothing new there that it hasn't moved the game on in the way that Airfix have. And I say, I was very brutally honest about the Airfix plastic that I got that wasn't great, but I was also brutally honest and optimistic and positive about those instructions because they've made a lot of effort in them. Don't see that here, and it's on where they've made such a lot of effort in the rest of the kit. It's a bit disappointed that they couldn't think to move it forward a bit. So the Polish injection molders done a fine job. Beautiful sprues. It all feels very solid as well. There's no parts off the sprue here. No bits flopping about or bowed or warped, etc. No sink marks. Nothing. Flawless. Apart from those clear parts where they were just a bit old school and a bit. I just thought they were a little bit quite distorted and they were scuffed. The scuffing you can get, you can fix that, but not quite to the same level as the rest. So I think it's a very good package there. You are getting remember, a mask set. You're getting everything in the box. You're getting a mask set, you're getting a book, a poster, and you're getting PE. So that does buy them some credit. There's quite a lot of value in that box, in fairness. I think it's 9.25 out of 10. And it could have been easily a 9.5, 9 3/4 had they not had the issue with the clear parts. Minor issues perhaps, but I don't think it's up to the standard really of the rest of the kit. And the instructions are a little bit a little bit confusing, not entirely well thought out, and it's like the Edward element's an afterthought at the end. A bit of a mess, really. More communication in your instructions, a bit more clarity. So, I mean, just put it English and German and that'd be fine, I think, for most customers. But 9.25 is a good score. Anything above 9 is a great score. And I welcome the kit. I think it's a great subject. It's not my personal thing, that particular area isn't there, so it's nothing to do with the kit at all. But it's anybody that's been looking out for a Meteor now, it's like manna from heaven getting this, you know. A really, really nice kit. Superb quality, you know. Really, I think it's going to be an enjoyable build as well. So that's where I'm at. 9.25 out of 10. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10. Did you notice, by the way, I was wearing my Spitfire shirt today? The Spitfire that I flew in with the American markings. MH818, is it? MH818? MT818, sorry. Yes, so I thought I'd wear that today. It seemed appropriate. Anyway, thank you very much to Neil from Creative Time Wasting. He very kindly loaned me this. I think he's planning to build it. I'm sure he'll have a great time. Definitely worth following as well, that build. Yeah, and it's very kind of him to let us have a look at that straight from the supplier, having just arrived in the country. Very much appreciated, Neil. Thanks very much. 10 out of 10 for you. And until next time, please stay tuned. We've got more. So that's going to have to be considered for kits of the year. Another one to consider. And it'll have to go on the list, you know. Oof. And we've got another 4 coming. What have we got? We've got the Armour Hurricane. We've got the Tomcat. We've got the... We've got the Henschel box coming from Tacom. We've got the ICM Hamden. Am I forgetting one? I'm sure there's another one. I can never get them on my head at the same time. All coming very soon indeed. Stay tuned. You'll see them here. Probably first, or certainly in the most detail. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Until next time. Stay well, stay safe. Thanks a lot. Till we meet again. Bye for now.